Nowadays, both within and without the country, there are people teaching Buddha Dhamma, practice the Buddha Dhamma by way of Vijayamapatipada, middle path, the practice of Eightfold Path, or the practice of the three trainings of Manipinya, or the practice to realize the Four Noble Truths. If they are teaching in this way, then they should be the same on principle, at least on principle. If, however, they are teaching otherwise, that is, one can accomplish the spiritual purpose without the practice of a full path, without the practice of three trainings of self-manipinya, without the practice to realize the Four Noble Truths, then it will not be on the same principle as the Buddha Dhamma, and hence should be understood as wrong path. According to Subhadra Sutta, the discourse on Subhadra, in accordance with Subhadra's wish, the leaders, such as Purana Kadava, are teaching the Dhamma, the doctrines. They are teaching differently. And in principle, they are different from one another. So perhaps he has some doubt about it. Although he had respect towards these leaders, he had some doubts. Hence his question to the Buddha, whether all of them knew what they professed, or all of them did not know what they professed, or some knew and some did not know. And that the Buddha answered like this, beginning with Alan Subhadra, take that case now. And then the question, quoting the question posed by Subhadra himself. Alan Subhadra, enough of it. That means we should not proceed anymore. Take that case now, or let it be, or leave it. As much as to say that the Buddha was not going to discuss this matter. That what Subhadra has asked, according to Subhadra's question, whether the leaders, beginning with Purana Kadava, knew what they professed as they professed, or all of them did not know what they professed as they professed, or some knew, some did not know what they professed. At that, the Buddha said, leave it, or let it be. Let it be as it is. As much as to say that the Buddha was not going to discuss this matter. What is the reason for not answering? At this point, it is for us to follow the example of the Buddha's attitude, because if the answer is given, it will be of no use, nor any benefit to anybody. But if the Buddha had answered like this, that six leaders, beginning with Purana Kadava, did not know anything as they professed, or no one knew anything as they professed, they're just giving discourses blindly, and perhaps there would have been the answer. If there would have been an answer, then whoever heard this answer would not be any use to anybody, would not be any use to Subhadra nor anyone else. On the other hand, if one is not having the right attitude, then he might think that, the Buddha is jealous, or the Buddha did not want them because he did not like them, and something like that. So that it might be tantamount to akusala, unwholesomeness. It will be to the disadvantage of Hence, this answer, alam subhada, enough subhada, enough of it. Tata kesa, let it be, or just leave it. As much as you say that the Buddha was not going to discuss this matter or answer about this matter. Among many qualities of the Buddha, there is one, namely Sukada, which means that he speaks only what is beneficial and correct or right. Whenever he gives a discourse, or answer or reply to the questions, or any other occasions, he spoke only what was beneficial and correct, which is liked by the listener. He would do that. Just like nowadays, when you take medicines, some of the tablets are sugar-coated so that you can swallow it easily. At other times, he would put the blame, or he would point out the mistakes or defects, shortcomings, and he would speak out by denigrating. He would denigrate such person, his listeners, the disciples, whether he or she likes it or not. So, as for the Buddha, he would use any of these methods, whether it's praise or blame. And he would denigrate, he would blame, or point out the mistakes or shortcomings by blaming, putting the blame, like you take bitter medicines. Sometimes you have to take bitter medicines. Sometimes there's a tonic called bitter tonic. Because it's tonic, you have to take it, though it is bitter. So, it has to be correct, so long as it's correct and beneficial. He would speak out, whether the person likes it or not, whether it is praising or blaming or denigrating. He would praise or denigrate, so long as the discourse, the teaching is beneficial and correct for the listener. But did he do it all the time like this? Not. Sometimes he found out whether the listener is acceptable, whether the discourse is acceptable to the listener, whether he has enough foundation, enough basis, or whether he has that strong mentality, maturity of faculties and so on, to be able to accept what he was giving. So now, the Buddha answered to Subhada, enough Subhada, Anan Subhada, that's enough of it. Although it may be a correct answer, he would not do it because it won't be of any use to anybody. It won't be of any benefit. That's why he said, enough of it, let it be or leave it, as much as to say that I'm not going to reply to this question. Not only in the old days, but even nowadays, in many places, there are people teaching the Dhamma, so-called Dhamma, and if one put the blame on them, criticize them for not teaching the right way, then they might misunderstand you and they might commit offense. Although if they are not teaching contrary to the Patipatti, that means the practice of the Dhamma, even if they are making mistakes, it's better to ignore it and wait for the time, the correct time. If, however, they are teaching contrary to the truth of Patipatti, Buddha's teachings, Buddha's practical aspect of teaching, then we have to say something, reply, at least on principle, if not on a personal basis. Even then, some may misunderstand as that because we don't like him, because we are jealous, we don't like him, we are criticizing him or her. Hence, this answer by the Buddha to Subhadra as enough Subhadra, let it be, leave it. As much as you say, I'm not going to discuss this subject. The Buddha continue to say that I am going to speak to you what is beneficial and correct, and you just listen. Tam sunahi, listen to it. Listen to what I am going to say. Not only just listen. Sadhuka manasi karoti. Karoti. Sadhuka manasi karoti. That means listen, pay right attention. I am going to speak. Masi sami. I am going to speak. So listen, not only listen, but listen carefully with right attitude. Pay right attention. Means not just listening, reaching the ear, but take it to heart. Then only one will be able to understand every meaning of what is said in the discourse. So then one will be the genuine listener. What is the genuine listener? Genuine listener is a person who has motive, who has the will to undertake correct method for liberation from kilesas, from the bondage of kilesas, has motive. That should be the motive. With that motive, one listens. And one listens so that every word of it is understood with the meaning, and every word of it enters not only to the ear but to the heart. Take it to heart or take it to brain. Then only every word will go into the heart. Then one will understand the correct method and will be able to undertake the correct practice. This is what the Buddha said. Hence, the Buddha said, Pasesami, I am going to speak. And that Subhadra answered, Evam Bandi, yes, Venerable Sir. That means he is changing the tone. Because he is a person who was to gain the Dhamma, he had this Yonisa Manasikara, the right attention, the right consideration. Hence, he agreed to listen to the reply to the discourse of the Buddha. If, however, a person, Subhadra, doesn't possess this attitude, right attitude, Yonisa Manasikara, he might think that, the Buddha is not answering answering my question, and he is just saying that I must listen to him. If he has not had this Yonisa Manasikara, right attitude, or right attention, then he won't accept what the Buddha said. He won't accept, he won't bande, yes, but Venerable Sir. Just like nowadays, if one Sayadaw had occasion to talk to a person, a yogi or something, if the yogi has asked something and Sayadaw didn't answer, he just said, just listen to me, I won't answer. Then how would he or she think? This Sayadaw is not answering well, because maybe he doesn't know what I'm asking. So it's not easy to accept, like Subhadra has Evam Bande. Not on more so with the Westerners. They won't accept because they are very intellectual, so they won't accept blindly. They might think that, Sayadaw doesn't know what I'm asking, that's why he doesn't answer, he refuses to answer. And he is asking me to listen to him, that means he is forcing me to become his student. So he might feel very unhappy, dissatisfied with that Sayadaw. As for Subhadra Paripratika, the ascetic Subhadra, he was to attain Arahantship, the final path, and gain the Dhamma. That's why he had the right attention, right attitude. that, or perhaps the reason why the Buddha didn't answer my question was that maybe it was of no benefit to anybody. And when he said that he was going to speak, means that it must be for my benefit. So in this way, because he had this right attitude, he was satisfied with that, and he accepted by saying, Evam Bandi, yes, Venerable. At this point, this expression Bandi is something to note. Venerable, he said, in the beginning, if you remember, he addressed the Buddha as Bogorama, that means Bogorama, as was the custom in those days when the Brahmins spoke to address one another as equals. Now, not so. There's a sign that the ascetic Subhadra has developed some kind of faith and confidence sada. At that time, he did not have this sada. Now, he has developed this faith and confidence. Faith and confidence is said to have been awakened. That's why he addressed as Bandi. When he respectfully and with good attitude was prepared to listen by saying Evam Bandi yes Venerable, he gave his ear to the Buddha, who was lying, who spoke to him while lying on one side, and the Buddha spoke the Eightfold Path, which is the definite principle, definite speech, definite teaching. The Dhamma has three qualities, namely Adi Kalyana, good in the beginning, Majjhima Kalyana, good in the middle, and Pariyosana Kalyana, good in the end. In this way, there are three qualities of the Dhamma. As for the good in the beginning, Adi Kalyana, one's faith and confidence is awakened by just being exhorted to listen to the Dhamma. By adoring the person who are going to speak, with just the personal adoration, whatever that respected person, adored person, is going to talk will be easily accepted. Thinking that whatever he or she says is for me, for the good of me, for my cultivation, for my good, for my betterment. So, by listening, Subhadra had belief that his doubts will be cleared. The motive, when one is listening to the Dhamma, is Vimudiyarana Sisa. That means the motive is to be liberated from the bondage of kilesas, which is for one's own benefit. That must be the only motive. When one listens to the Dhamma, that should be the motive. Namely, the liberation from or freedom from the bondage of impurities. So if one is established in this kind of motive, then one will be prepared to listen to the talk. Such is the goodness in the beginning of the Dhamma, Adhikalyana. So by just listening to the talk, one is freed of the heat of impurities. Now, as for Subhadra, he is just preparing to listen. He has not just listened as yet. Talk has not begun as yet. He is just preparing to listen to the talk. So even at this time, his mind became very clear. Such is the goodness of the Dhamma in the beginning. And by just listening, one's heat of impurities will be overcome. And once one undertakes a practice, one is bound to realize the true, the genuine happiness. With the practice of sila, morality, one can purify one's physical, verbal behaviors, overcome this transgressive gross type of defilements, so that one's physical bowel behaviors become graceful, blameless, unblemished, and become affable. That is one's peace and happiness, one's benefit. As much as one is able to undertake mindfulness, apply mindfulness, cultivating this Pariyasati Samadhi, Samadhi Khanda, concentration group, every moment of the practice, every second, one is bound to overcome the obsessive kind of defilements, experiencing piti, rapturous feeling, joyous feeling, with good physical and mental feeling. Such is the result of, such is samatha sukha, the happiness of tranquility, of samatha. And if one undertakes the practice of Vipassana insight meditation, especially at the stage of the first rising and passing away, experiencing the first rising and passing away at Jnana, then such a situation is known as Amanusi Rati, the kind of happiness which excels manifold the sense of pleasure for human beings. At that time, one will be experiencing illuminations, piti, positive, rapturous feeling and tranquility. And one's insight, mind and insight will become very uplifted, and one will be able to build up momentum to cultivate one's mind and insight. So at this time, at the stage of samatha sukha, one's mind becomes tranquilized. There's a peace of mind, tranquility of the mind, calmness of the mind. And at the stage of Vipassana insight practice, attaining insight sukha, Vipassana sukha, one sees the truth of mind and body, especially the first rising and passing away of psychophysical phenomena. At every stage, one realizes the excellent kind of happiness, amanusi-vati, the kind of delight which excels manifold the human sense of pleasures. And it is said that such kind of happiness is something unforeseeable and something which is good in itself. That means without any mixture. And especially if you progress along the path to come to the stage of insight knowledge known as Sankhārupaka Jnana, then one will feel very good with tranquility. With piti, one has this feeling of rapturous feeling, like bobbing up and down or riding the waves in the ocean. Such a rapturous feeling will be experienced. And at the stage of passaddhi, tranquility, there will be a feeling of as though you're just like the water oozing out from the rocks. So also, all your feeling, good feeling, appears to be oozing out of your body. And if you continue to practice, you come to the stage of cessation, then such a stage will be unforeseeable kind of happiness and something which is good in itself without any mixture. So such is the good in the middle. That is up to the tranquility stage. So when you come to the stage from the tranquility, calmness to cessation, then you gain the real happiness, genuine happiness. Such is the stage, last quality of the Dhamma, known as Priyosana, last quality of the Dhamma, Priyosana quality. So as for Subhadha Paripajika, ascetic Subhadha, he was just preparing to listen to what Buddha was going to say. Even in this preparation stage, he became very able to stay in still space in him. His mind became very clear, experiencing the beginning, the good quality of Dhamma in the beginning. So that's why it is better to pay fixed attention, meticulous attention to what the Dhamma, which is very important. So when you practice also, not only listen attentively, but when you practice also, do it respectfully, carefully. When you practice, you have to practice in accordance with the principles of the Dhamma. That means as the Dhamma wishes, so to speak, or in accordance with the principles of the Dhamma, then you will experience the quality of the Dhamma. If you don't practice in accordance with the principles of the Dhamma, you won't experience the quality of the Dhamma. So one has got to practice respectfully, carefully, attentively. Such is the practice in accordance with the principles of the Dhamma, in accordance with the wish of the Dhamma. Then only one is bound to gain the understanding of the Dhamma nature in a particular manner. Then when once one comes to the stage of ultimate salvation, that is the stage of goodness of the Dhamma in the end. The definite teachings in order to make one become Ariya, a noble one, an attained person for attainment, a definite teaching for attainment has to be pure and noble. And the physical, verbal, mental behaviors will have to be uplifted in all aspects, so that one's existence will be uplifted, one's life will be uplifted. Such is the kind of teaching which causes these things. If one does not practice the three trainings of Samadhi Pinya, one will not be able to purify one's physical, verbal, mental behaviors, nor one will be able to cultivate knowledge, and one will become impure and defiled from all aspects, or in all aspects. And if one does not undertake the practice, one will become like that. Then one will become impure and defiled. One's life will not be uplifted. One will only fall down. One's life will be denigrated or degenerated. Only when one is pure, one will be uplifted. Hence the expression given as regards Ariya, Ariyoti Parisuddho Uttamowa. Ariya means Ariya is given as Parisuddho, pure and white. White means pure. If it's pure and white, it will be noble, Uttamowa. So if it's not pure, if it's not white, then it will not be uplifted. It will be only degraded, degenerated. Now the Buddha is giving this discourse for attainment, Ariyahood, so that one can purify one's physical, verbal, mental behaviors. From purity, one will become noble. So this is not an indefinite teaching, it is a definite teaching. In the beginning, the Buddha laid down two Dhamma principles and gave the discourse, which will be given tomorrow.